guys. If you want to get me out of my clothes, you need to buy the Angry Brothers Big Skull mug. On sale now.
Well, greetings, faithful followers. I'm Brother Jack Angry, along with Countess Boobia. And we're with the Angry Brothers Omaha Shakarama, myself, Brother James, the Countess, Inferna, and the rest of the gang want to welcome you to Chop Block's Horror Network. And remember, friends, let's keep America on top. Watch Horror Host, y'all. And you can do that on Chop Block. Anything you'd like to add, Countess?
Well, it seems like being spooky is in style these days.
So, good night and unpleasant dreams.
Sweet nightmare.
Well, greetings, faithful followers. This is your old pal, Brother Jack Angry, along with the lovely Countess Boobia. Yes, and we've got a really great show lined up for you tonight. Normally we deal with films that are in the public domain, and these are a lot of the older pieces, but we've got, I don't want to say we have a treat for you, we've got a real experience planned for you.
It's quite the trick.
Yes, it is, and this film is going to either blow your mind or completely rot your brain. We're not really sure which way it's going to go, but you know, I'm pretty sure you're going to enjoy the ride with us. Now, tonight's film is a 2018 indie horror slasher film, The Dark Days of Demetrius. And in this film, the producer, writer, creator of the film, Dakota plays Demetrius, a narcissistic, self-absorbed serial killer who is trying to gain his 15 minutes of fame by being what's called the live stream killer, who actually records his victims being brutally murdered and then uploads it to various social media such as Facebook and YouTube.
It's basically like modern day snuff.
Almost, yeah. There's definitely a comparison to that. It's modern day snuff without the sexual penetration, as it were. But
not all snuff films are sexual.
Well, that's true. I mean, you're 100% right there, Countess. There was a film that was done in the late 60s, early 70s that was entitled Snuff, that was about kind of the history of the snuff film and how it carried on into the modern day. And it was actually almost done in almost a semi-documentary format. It was a very interesting film. I'd highly recommend it.
I wouldn't mind watching that.
Definitely, it's like, you know, and please don't send us any snuff films, because if we do, we're going to turn it over to the police. We're not into that. That definitely does not float our boat. You know, it's just for intellectual purposes only. But the plot of the Dark Days of Demetrius, Dakota Ray, playing Demetrius, is the live stream killer who has committed a string of very grisly serial killings, and he's filmed them and uploaded these to various social media platforms to obtain fame and notoriety, but also to kind of illustrate his own existential crisis because of his abuse as a child and other factors, where he is basically I'd almost say his adversary, but I could almost say his protege, the reporter Clive, a sadistic newspaper reporter who is actually egging the live stream killer on to more and more horrific acts of murder and degradation and debauchery as the live stream killer, to increase the readership of his own newspapers, as he is the exclusive reporter who is covering the live stream killer. So what do you think of it? What did you think of it all, Countess?
It's definitely a unique take it's got mostly realistic qualities. Like, it's kind of a thought in your mind, like, with all the stuff being done with people's private media and then their live streams. Like, if somebody in this world has it in their mind to actually do something like that, like, it's definitely original, because it's something that actually I haven't seen anybody try to, like, pursue the idea of that. With all these techie horror movies, nobody's, yeah, so it's definitely, I'd call it a film over a movie, because it's more of an original take on something.
Well, that's true. I guess maybe movie is really the wrong term. I'd have to definitely say it is an indie, a piece of indie cinema, definitely.
And it's under an hour also.
Well, that's...
just under an hour, not by much.
Well, to be really honest, Countess, I mean, I don't know how much more disturbing imagery Dakota Ray could have put in that film. I mean, it's like if he'd gone any longer with it, we'd have had a Serbian film to deal with, or Sodomania or something like that. It's like I'm not going to lie, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it, people. This film is disturbing.
It is definitely, I think, the most different out of anything either of us have reviewed, especially you.
I'll definitely give you that one, Countess. It's like, this movie, I mean, it's like, I have to admit, I saw this movie and I thought about sleeping with the lights on for more than a few nights. Yeah, there is definitely some scenes in here that, you know, if you've got kids in the house, and when we run these clips, you might want to just tell them to go upstairs and watch SpongeBob or something like that, because this is some things that kids should definitely not be exposed to. You know, at least not before the age of 16, 17 anyway.
Yeah.
But without any further ado, we're going to bring you tonight's movie, The Dark Days of Demetrius, starring Dakota Ray, here on the Angry Brothers Omaha Shockorama. Anything you'd care to add, Countess?
The soundtrack. The Countess actually favors that genre of music. Good soundtrack.
Yeah, it was done by a Bulgarian, if I'm not mistaken, a Bulgarian or Serbian metal band called Emperor and a Larva, I think is what it was. Metal, that kind of metal is not really Brother Jack's bag. I mean, I'm going to leave that to the Countess. I mean, she's more the expert on that than I am. You know, I'm a Aussie man, you know, Black Sabbath, that sort of thing. You know, little Jethro Tull when, you know, I've had a few drinks, mind you. But the metal stuff is definitely the Countess's bag. But, so, without any further ado, The Dark Days of Demetrius, here on the Angry Brothers Omaha Shockorama.
Sweet dream.
Enjoy.
My name is Demetrius, and I am the live stream killer.
Greetings, faithful followers. Welcome back. What do you think of the dark days of Demetrius so far? I mean, really, isn't this movie just a little bit disturbing? And you brought up an interesting point on the break, Countess.
Yeah, I noticed he chose an iPhone. Now if it were an Android, it might have gotten away with it for a while, but realistically, iPhones do the. Hold on, I got it. Can we?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
All right,
Gosh, man.
we'll just cut it out. What's wrong? Is the light bothering you, or?
No, it's just my fucking brain. I just. Okay.
All
Can
right.
we just?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll just. All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
You wouldn't be able to get away with that with an iPhone as much as a Android.
Why? Because iPhones, they track the pictures and videos that you use the phone to upload.
Yeah, they have their live pictures, and so they immediately track people down like that.
Well, that's definitely good to know. I mean,
That's ironic.
I'm not an Apple user, so I really couldn't tell you anything about that. I mean, it's like Samsung all the way, baby. Android rules. But the film itself. Now, here's a little bit of trivia. The film Dark Days of Demetrius was almost in some ways a sequel to Dakota's previous film, American Antichrist. His goal, and I think he succeeded admirably, was to create a film that is basically so vile and so frightening and so repulsive that it basically just grabs everybody out there by the nugs and, makes them think. And, he succeeded admirably. We have to give a big shout out to the supporting cast, Lilith Frost, who played Bunny, and Fred Epstein, who played Clive, the sadistic reporter. The scene with the cat, dude, that was really messed up. I mean, I'm a cat lover, I'm a dog lover, I'm a member of the ASPCA, and both my pets are rescue pets. And I know it was done for the cinematic purposes, and I'm going to choose to believe that no cat was harmed in any way, shape, or form in the production of that scene. At least I certainly hope not. But, putting a cat in a microwave that was just messed up, dude. But, it's like, I have to give you mad props on that because of the fact that, that film, it's like, I almost deleted your movie when I saw that, so that's what kind of effect it had on me.
It takes a large risk for a filmmaker to go to that. Like, I know when they made the film Cannibal Holocaust,
One of our
there were many
favorites.
questions. So, yeah, I have to say, personally, as long as no cats were harmed, I give him props.
Yes,
So-
I mean, and the character of Clive, played by Fred Epstein, Fred actually came out of retirement. He would more or less retired as an actor, and he actually came out of retirement to do this film for Dakota. So, I mean, that when somebody agrees to come out of retirement just to do your film, I mean, that says a lot without a doubt. And Lilith Frost did a great job as Bunny, the victim of one of the live stream killers. One of his victims did an excellent job as that. So big kudos to her.
I can say I've seen a lot of actors try to act like they're struggling in films and it not be convincing, and she actually did a very well job with her short time in the film.
Well, another little bit of trivia that I read, Dakota, after he did that film, I don't know whether he was trying to stay in character, but it was noted in IMDb that the on-screen atmosphere when he was doing his shots and his shooting and between takes was very, very hard for a lot of his co-stars and crew because of the fact, I don't know if he was trying to stay in character as Demetrius. I know there was some talk of some issues with substance abuse and that sort of thing. We hope obviously Dakota's got a handle on that, and that he's operating from a better place. But where at that time he was in somewhat of a dark place, and I guess it carried over off screen as well as on screen.
Probably the dedication to that role being, it seems like it was a very important project, which would be regards to method acting.
Well, yes, it's definitely method acting. I mean, it's like that kind of role is not something you could slip in and out of very effectively and have a convincing portrayal of a serial killer. So yeah, again, mad props to you on that one, Dakota. But unless there's something you want to throw out there, Countess.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is definitely a disturbing film, no doubt about it. And I would say the best is yet to come. But let's face it, with this film, it's only going to get weirder from here, people. But
I would say though, it did make me feel quite at home,
yeah, it's like I kind of felt like I needed to bathe in hand sanitizer when I was done watching this. It's like, but. Again, it just gets weirder from here, people. So without any further ado, we're going to bring you the conclusion of the dark days of Demetrius here on the Angry Brothers Omaha Shockorama. Enjoy.
Sweet dreams.
My name is Dakota Ray, and I'm the writer and director and star of the dark days of Demetrius. Right after the release of my previous film, American Antichrist, I began working on the script for what would become The Dark Days of Demetrius. My main idea when I wrote this film was to create a movie with a very well-conceived storyline that dealt with themes of violence, death, and narcissism. My character, Demetrius, is an elusive serial killer who has gained notoriety and stardom from live streaming the murders of his victims on social media. Demetrius is a narcissist who kills primarily because murdering attains him recognition, and also because he feels that each life he takes adds more value to his own. But at the same time, Demetrius is haunted by his traumatic childhood, which is part of why he's so fucked up. Yeah, with each passing film I try to explore a new facet of my filmmaking style, whether it be by filming with a VHS camera like I did with my first full-length feature, My Master Satan, or by making a film that's very artistic and abstract like American Antichrist. I'm always trying to do something a little bit different with each film, and I succeed to various degrees. I think that The Dark Days of Demetrius is probably my most disturbing, hateful, and violent film yet. And I think that part of what makes the film so disturbing is that the viewer can easily identify with either my character Demetrius or Clyde. Die, you fucker, die!
faithful followers. What'd you think of The Dark Days of Demetrius? I mean, that movie is definitely an emotional roller coaster. I mean, you really can't root for the character of Demetrius because he has, to my estimation, no redeeming qualities whatsoever. He's brutal. He's a narcissist. Yes, he was abused. But not everybody who suffers some form of abuse, either physical, mental, emotional, verbal, or what have you, becomes a serial killer. I don't know if Dakota Ray was trying to use that as a way of seeking some redemption for the character. But you, on the break, you had your own opinion about that.
Well, either redemption or...
Or do you think he was trying to get sympathy from the audience, or...
Not sympathy. I'm trying to think of the middle...
Yeah, well, I mean, was he trying to establish that, to illustrate that he had some form of empathy?
His inner understanding, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as you're saying, as the serial killer, when he was conflicting with himself, having that inner argument with himself over the crimes he was committing versus being a normal member of society.
Kind of like a excuse, that's not necessarily the right word.
Trying to rationalize it, maybe?
Yeah. Yeah, he seems to be somebody that's not a social person.
Well, it's like he definitely was not a social person. I mean, yeah, some of the things he did to those people in that movie is definitely the textbook definition of the word antisocial. Now, the rest of the cast, as I said, Lilith Frost did a great job as Buddy. Now, Fred Epstein playing Clive, Clive, I could not really when I watched the film, I didn't really know, was Clive trying to use the live stream killer as maybe a protege, or was he an actual antagonist? Because he was more concerned with obviously sensationalizing what the live stream killer was doing to boost the ratings of his own newspaper and his own news service, and he was trying to push the live stream killer, at least to my mind, to more and more horrific acts, to obviously to increase his viewership of his and readership of his newspaper. Yeah, like I said, the bit with the cat was just totally over the edge. I mean, and that's going to be, I understand it was the cinematic device, and we had to illustrate Clive is basically if not as bad, or if not worse than Demetrius, because of his amorality, his disregard for the feelings of others. I mean, the setting the wino on fire, killing the wino and then setting him on fire just to create a more sensationalistic story. That's a first-rate douchebag. And like I said, if I ever ran across the actor Fred Epstein in public, I would be fighting the urge to spit in his face, just because of the way, how well he did play Clive. And we won't even go into microwaving the cat. I mean, that's a dead horse. I'm going to quit whipping here, but.
Well, that's a dead cat.
Yeah, microwave cats. You know what microwave cats smell like? It can't smell good.
I was going to say,
everybody says it smells like chicken.
Well, that's what...
Yeah, it's like, well, we all know my thoughts on chicken, I mean, it's got to be chicken nuggets or chicken patties.
Enough.
Well,
not for my taste.
Yeah, not bloody enough. It's like, yeah, your idea is you just clean it up and send it out there. Clean it up, kiss it goodbye, and send it out. That's how you like your steaks. But anyway, the film, I mean, if his intention was to create a film that was vile and disturbing and almost, I'm not even going to say frightening, because
That's not the word.
No, frightening is not the word I would use. Basically, terrifying comes to my mind because of the fact that Dakota's portrayal of Demetrius is pretty much spot on with a lot of things that have been going on today. I mean, in the age of, we have the orange idiot in the White House, we have the constant live shooter situations, we have children as young as 10 years old being tried as adults for murder. These are frightening times we live in, and the character of Demetrius,
It's realistic.
unfortunately, it is a very hand-in-glove fit. Demetrius fits very well into the times, and you know, I don't know whether that thrills me because it's a great cinematic device, or frankly, it scares the bejesus out of me because there could be 1,000 people like that running around out there. I mean, something to think about, people. But me and the Countess both unanimously agree that this film gets 5 Reggies, which is the highest rating we can give.
I can't compare it to anything I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of weird things.
I have seen my share of indie films, and yeah, I have to definitely say that, you know, Dakota's aim to create a truly disturbing film was, I mean, you killed it, dude. You killed it. That's all I can say. Yeah, no pun intended, but yeah, you really went above and beyond with that. Although, you know, we do give you, like I said, we do give you mad props on this film, and the hope that you will seek professional help immediately. But we're just woofing you on that one, dude. You did a great job with the film, but you know, maybe a little counseling. You know, if you want to talk to somebody, it might not be a bad idea. Because let's face it, you got issues, man. You got issues.
It showed through all the dedication.
There you go. I mean, it showed in the movie. I mean, without a doubt. Yeah, this one, we're definitely going to give this one 5 Reggies, and you know, we can't thank you enough for letting us review your film and do an episode on it. You know, anything in the future, if you want to send it to us, you know, we'll be more than happy to take a look at it.
Is this the first film that
No,
somebody's asked you to review?
No, I did a film. I did a film for a filmmaker out of, I believe it was the East Coast a while back, called Music Store Massacre, which is about a demonically possessed guitar that would drive its owners to commit horrible acts of murders, eventually ending in their own destruction or suicide. Great film, by the way. It is on our Roku channel, and it is on many of our media outlets, including 15 public access networks across the country. If you want us to do an encore on it, we'll be happy to do that. But you know, we'll get the link to that YouTube episode up, and shortly. It'll be at the end of this broadcast. But again, Dakota, great job. Love your work. You are one sick puppy. You know,
Well,
it's like,
me too.
yeah, well, yes. Well, I should say puppies, but yes, it's like we haven't been ignoring you.
No, they've been ignoring everybody.
Boo.
Oh, I almost fell down.
Well, on next week's show, we're going to be bringing you the 1963. I'm not going to say classic, because me and the Countess have kind of had a little disagreement going over this. We're going to bring you the 1963 opus called The Monstrosity, starring Marjorie Eaton, Judy Bamber, and a bunch of other people that nobody ever heard of. But it's not a bad film, and we're going to talk more about that next week. So remember, I'm Brother Jack Angry, along with Countess Boobula. Good night. And the rest of the gang here at the Monastery of Mayhem. Brother James, Inferna, Lady Torrid, Ash and Sin, Gulia, and everybody else. Good night, unpleasant dream, and let's keep America on top. Watch Horror Host, y'all. And by the way, suck it, you hack.
Sweet nightmares.
Well,